Judith Collins.
Well, Mr. Speaker, have you called me?
Yes, I have. I've called you.
The applause. I'm sorry, Mr. Speaker, I couldn't hear it. Mr. Speaker, that member who's just resumed his seat has called for hope, and I've got hope for him. In fact, David Shearer is safe. David Shearer is very safe now. I saw today how Mr. Little has been undermining Mr. Shearer every chance he can get, particularly over superannuation. But at the end of the day, what we've got here is a member and his deputy who don't want to listen because they're too busy trying to undermine their leader. What we've had a situation where Mr. Judge resigned yesterday, as at the 30th of June, and I have thanked him for the excellent work he did. He took over a financial mess in ACC, and the former Minister of ACC, the Honourable Ruth Dyson, might well laugh. She was laughing not that hard when she had to resign as Minister of ACC because she was caught drunk driving as the Minister of ACC. Now, if we're going to talk about dirt, let's go down there. She said, so what, does she? Yeah, so what? Well, if they're going, they don't mind attacking my colleague, but let them have a little go back. And in fact, as for Mr. Little, well, I'm going to correct something he said in the House today because I'm actually getting a little tired of having to correct him on what he says. He said, for instance, that me and my office were being investigated by the Privacy Commissioner. No, Mr. Little, I refer you again to the terms of reference. I know Mr. Little may not like getting the facts in front of a story, but actually maybe he should. He's supposed to be a lawyer, I understand. No, it's hard to believe. But anyway, Mr. Judge took over, as did my colleague, the Honourable Nick Smith, a situation in ACC where there was a financial mess, a complete mess, and shame on Labor for allowing this to happen. And they had to set about trying to make sure that they could bring the corporation back into financial health, and they have done so. However, what we now have is a situation where it's time for a change in culture in ACC. I think they've done a fantastic job of getting financial strength and health in the organisation, but I want to have a situation where ACC has a culture whereby they look at their claimants and they say to themselves, how would I like to be treated? How would I like my information to be treated? Or even more so, how would I like my mother's information to be treated? I would like them to have that. I have been around to 9 different ACC offices in the last 3 months, talking to the staff there, and I have to say they've been great. They've been absolutely uniformly supportive and wanting to bring about changes. They have said to me that they accept that they need to improve their performance around privacy. They need to improve their performance around how they speak about their claimants and about what they actually do. They're extremely committed to getting people back to independence. Absolutely committed to getting people back into independence. And I know that the Labor Party doesn't like people getting back into independence. We've seen it with the attacks they have on my colleague, the Honourable Paula Bennett, on the excellent work she's doing in welfare. But actually, most people getting back into work will not only help them physically, but help them mentally. And that might be something they should think about. Work is good. It is not a punishment. It is part of life, and it makes people feel worthwhile and contributing. And it is actually very good, not only for finances, but very good for health. And ACC all around the country, their staff actually don't like the fact that Andrew Little day in, day out bags them. Day in, day out attacks them for doing the job they're supposed to do. They've been doing a fantastic job of actually dealing with the 1.6 million claims every year that they get. But of course, they are going to, on occasion, make errors. Very few errors. But I've said to them that that's something that they need to put their hand up straight away, but they must consider the professionalism that's expected around people's... What's that, Mr. Little? Oh, I see. So Mr. Little wants ACC to not lose reviews. So in other words, Mr. Little wants ACC to have to pay out every single claim, even when it's not legitimate. And so they would have a zero tolerance to any error. But actually, the reason that we've got reviews is so that their decisions can be considered. And my colleague, the Honourable Dr. Nick Smith, actually set up the dispute resolution service and got that going. It's an excellent thing for him to be able to set up as an independent agency away from ACC so it could have independence. Now, frankly, do I hear anything from the opposition saying that's a good thing? No. But I think it is. I think it actually gives ACC claimants some independence where they can go, and also they can get these, and of course the dispute resolution service does overturn some of ACC's claims, and that shows its independence, actually. If it agreed with everything that ACC did, then it wouldn't be independent. If it agreed with everything ACC did, then either ACC was agreeing to things they shouldn't and giving entitlements that weren't there, or else they would actually be considered to be a puppet of ACC, and that wouldn't be acceptable either. So, of course, we do need to change some of the culture around ACC, and I am absolutely dedicated towards that. And I would like to thank Kevin Haig today from the Green Party for the very nice comments he made about me in the media. And I thought, you know, actually Kevin Haig does generally play the ball, not the person. And I'd say that about the Greens. None like some we can mention, but we won't bother to mention. And even though Kevin Haig and I aren't going to agree on many things, I actually respect people in this House who do that, who actually get on and say it what it is. Now, ACC, just to give a little bit of context to this, with a 1.3 million claimants a year, 1.675 in the last year, how many calls is that received weekly? 24,385 inbound calls received weekly. 24,385 total inbound calls received weekly. That gives us... And in fact, what that gives us an idea of the scale of what they're dealing with. And they're dealing with people who have been racked up by people on the other side to think there are entitlements that aren't there. And that's one of the problems that ACC got itself into in the 2000s under the Labor government. Is the policy paradigms were all changed so that it was basically get rid of anything where there might be somebody who's unhappy with a decision. Obviously, we'd want the right decisions. Sometimes those decisions are not going to be met with universal approval, but they've got to be able to make those tough decisions. It is not a lolly scramble. It's actually a very serious business because it's other people's money, levy payers and taxpayers for those who are in the non-work area. The fact is they've got to be sensible. But on the other hand, let's look at it this way. A wee while ago, I was in one of the branches and talking to their staff, and one of the investigators said to me that they found this person who was supposed to be at home, prone, on his back, unable to do anything, completely paralysed. But actually they found him on a social networking site surfing in Bali. Now that's just a teeny bit awkward, and that was an extreme. Now, frankly, it's a bit difficult for ACC staff when they're dealing with people who actually, occasionally, there's the odd person who is going to be surfing in Bali when they're supposed to be prone on their back at home, unable to work. Now, in the meantime, they've got to actually get on and deal with the vast majority of the 1.675 million claimants that they had last year who are legitimate claimants and who have to have their matters dealt with. I can also tell the House that almost every week I get letters into me from people who are very happy with the way they've been treated by ACC. And I get reports from people who have written into their case managers thanking them for the excellent service that they've been given. And actually, these 1.675 million New Zealanders, the vast majority of whom are very happy with the work that ACC does, they don't like it when they hear their case managers being pilloried by the opposition. They actually want to know that their case managers, who are helping to bring them back into independence, are actually being appreciated, not bagged just for helping them get back to work. And I also remember going to just recently to and accredited employer program. And I guess it's the attitude of some of the unionists or ex-unionists in the Labour Party, because I was at this accredited employer forum with trade unionists and also with employers and obviously with ACC staff. And it was a really constructive forum until I got asked questions from some of the unionists which went something like this. I hear that some accredited employers are forcing people to go back to work on half-time when they're not ready to do full-time. And I thought, so where's the problem there? Well, so I said, so where's the problem there? Oh, well, you know, they're being punished to go back to work. So I said, well, I'm sorry to tell you, but in my opinion, work is not a punishment. It is, in fact, a fabulous thing that helps people get back to wellness. But anyway, apparently it's a punishment. And then the other one I got was this. How's this one? To give you the commitment of some of those trade unionists to health and safety in the workplace. How's this? How's this one? This is really good. It's really good. Some employers are apparently drug testing employees without the union approving it. Wow, my God, fancy that. No, it's true. That's what he said. And the industry, by the way, you'll want to know what the industry involves? Driving great big cranes with great big containers. So what do you think? Do you think they could be drug tested? I thought that was pretty sensible. So I said, well, actually, ACC's really interested in keeping down accidents in the workplace. This is one of our big areas where we need to do even better at. And actually, frankly, I think an employer has to take a responsible line, but do you think it's okay for other employees to have to work in a situation where they've got a drunk or drugged person driving a great big crane with a big container stuck to it? And the fact is, no. So anyway, in essence and in conclusion, Mr. Speaker, ACC has been doing an excellent job around this particular area of getting claimants dealt with. However, I'm still not happy with the privacy protocols. I'm still not happy that the culture of the organisation has gone as far as I would like. I'm looking forward to, when the new board's in place, a new chief executive, to seeing further progress along the way. There has been great progress this year. There was fantastic progress in the 3 years before. It's still a wee way to go, but I'm very confident that they'll get there.
Kevin Haig.